My son, he is sick. When your wife's boyfriend brings home chip.
Howdy, hey, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Monster Hunter Rise. Once again, we're just gonna be tearing through some more quests. Also, sad news, right before starting this episode, I looked up this hammer to see when we can upgrade it next, and we have to get to the next layer of high rank quests. So no upgrades. None for us. We don't get upgrades. You know why? Because the kind people at Capcom hate us. They hate us hammer mains, okay? That's it. That's it. I can confirm 100% they hate us. I actually do need Lagombie parts to make this upgrade, but I need like bone pieces that you can only get from the desert areas. Who cares at this point? Just grab Dango and let's head out. Just gonna beat a little Lagombie boy. And then we'll be done soon. It won't be that bad. Play the Curb Your Enthusiasm bit music if this goes horribly wrong. Did I go to the tetrahedron? God, I'm dumb. I am dumb. Time to drink my Smart Man juice. Wait a minute, this isn't Smart Man juice, this is coffee. Who swapped it? Which one of you swapped it? I swear to God, I will figure it out. I tell you what, I fell down a rabbit hole in the past 24 hours. I'm not gonna lie. It was an interesting one. It's surprisingly a rabbit hole that I wound up leaving without spending money, which is a rarity in my life at this point. I don't think there's usually rabbit holes that I go down that don't, you know, end up with me spending money and wasting money on something stupid, but this time it ended up actually in my favor. For starters, I had a good keyboard. I, in college, invested in quite a nice keyboard for Christmas one year. I bought a Keychron K2. I looked it up today. Since it was Bluetooth and had batteries, I could hook it up to my iPad for taking notes when I was at home or doing work at home, because I then put in, what were they? I wrote them down. Oh, and goody, I have a window blocking my notes. Isn't that great, Lagombie? God damn, you went right into that. That was perfect, baby. Thank you. Thank you for proving my point, baby girl. Oh, wait, are they kale creams? They are kale creams, because I saw a video and I liked them, and the cream style keyboard switch is, oh my God. Okay. I had no idea you could do that. Lagombie, Wombi, Bombi, Tombi. But I had kale creams because the kale creams are sort of that old style of keyboard. That's what they try to mimic. That like IBM keyboard type. And I like the sound of them. I still like that keyboard. It is a very nice keyboard, and everyone who comes over is like, this is a great keyboard, Defenseless. I'm like, thank you. Thank you. I know I'm great. I'm amazing. Now, get out of my house. It was during that process, I'd say immediately after getting that keyboard fully set up, that I eventually would learn a few things. QWERTY, Q-W-E-R-T-Y, is the basic, like, standard for the English language. I'm sure everyone knows it. If you look down at your keyboard, it probably says the phrase QWERTY. The reason why QWERTY is the way that it is because it was an engineered standard for typewriters originally, and so it has a few quirks of it that I think a lot of people understand. Outside of QWERTY, there are better arrangements that certainly do exist. The problem is that if you do train yourself into something that's not QWERTY, you're probably going to have a much more difficult time using, I guess, normal people's stuff. I know that there is a video of a guy going through it, and he's like, no, it's fine. I can go back to QWERTY if I need to, like, use someone else's keyboard. You know, it's not a big deal. Look, I'm already a dyslexic. I already struggle typing, so I don't really want to train myself on anything that isn't QWERTY. Now, where things get interesting are like the staggerings. So it's a pretty commonly known fact, but if you didn't know, the reason why keyboards are staggered are strictly because of the fact that the typewriters needed spacing so that each of the keys could have like a lever that went back to the back of the machine, so the staggering would keep them all in different ways. Also, QWERTY was designed in a way that letters that are commonly used are actually letters that are used back to back are actually farther apart from one another so that you don't jam the keyboard. The best example of this is something like Q and U. Q and U are very far apart from each other, yet you would think for efficiency's sake, wouldn't you put them right next to each other since, you know, Q is always followed by U? There's a lot of niche weird things about QWERTY, but the reason why I've talked so much about QWERTY is because of the space bar. So this is the one that I think everyone, I would assume agrees upon, and it's sort of where we find ourselves the other morning when I started this rabbit hole. I had known about split spacebar keyboards, and to me, in my brain, I think that that's optimal. I think everybody should have a split spacebar keyboard, because back to that whole QWERTY and all of its weird quirks about it being typewriter based system or arrangement, the spacebar was made large and was made, well, I don't know if it was made large originally. It just fell into a way where the spacebar was big because you would use both of your thumbs to push it down, since more than any other keyboard you would be smashing it down, so your thumbs would get fatigued if there was only one key for them. So QWERTY or whatever typewriters just fell into this standard of having a spacebar, and that makes sense. It doesn't make sense today though. Why every other finger you have on your hands is being used for numerous buttons, every single one except for your thumbs. Your thumbs are not only doing one key, they're doing 1.5 keys. And I get it, some people will be like, Control, Alt, those keyboard switches, you know, you sometimes smash them with your thumbs. Sure, I'll give you that. There's a couple of buttons, but really the fact that like a huge portion of your setup of your keyboard is in one button makes no god sense to me. And as a dyslexic, and I just claim this as a dyslexic, but this is probably more just me being stubborn and falling into bad habits and misspelling. Was that Stink Mink? You know for a fact I gotta grab that little guy. What's up, friend? Okay, he's in my pocket now. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching my schizophrenic ramblings. I misspell words a lot. I do. And it's usually like I catch it. Sometimes I don't. Y'all know that. Y'all know that for a fucking fact. But I try to catch it as much as I, possibly can. Here's the problem. Whenever I misspell something, I gotta move my entire right hand off of the keyboard home row and up to the delete key. I would say I misspell something pretty damn frequently. Probably because I'm trying to go way too fast and I'm just not that good, but my brain wants to go that fast. Doesn't matter why I make the spelling mistakes, I make the spelling mistakes. And so I, having built my first like nice keyboard with the Keychron K2, and I know there's probably a keyboard snob here, I get it, it's probably not the greatest thing. They'll be like, oh, Kales or Creams aren't that fucking good. Yeah, sure. But I'm pretty adamant in the fact that I think if you split a keyboard or you split a spacebar, making one of those buttons the spacebar and making the other one the delete key, or not the delete, the backspace key, because, delete's forward delete, but backspace is the back delete. You get what I'm saying. I think that that's optimal. I really do. I really wanted to get one. And so the other day I found one on Facebook Marketplace and I was like, oh, I'm going to message them. So I do my recording, message them, and they didn't respond. And, yesterday, workout day, went outside, worked out with my boy Nick, went back inside, cooked, got through a decent portion of the edit, and then I went to bed. And I took my little afternoon snooze, which I think I need to start taking more of. It was very nice. It was very pleasant now that it's not, a sweltering, burning hole of California being on fire. When I took my nap, I remembered something. So about a year or two ago, I found a guy selling a split keyboard, and I wrote its name down, which of course I can't see, and I'm gonna tab out of this. Now we're good. That's a little, oh my god, a little peek behind the curtain before I got smashed to death by this comically large snowball. I like that they gave him a new attack in high rank. That's very noticeable. I actually need a potion up. You might kill me. The keyboard that I bought is a Keybio or Keybo Iris Revolution 4. It is a split keyboard. This takes that idea of a split spacebar and sort of multiplies it times 1,000. I think I bought it for about $80, if I remember correctly. It was a really good price for it, and this is, from what I can understand, I believe a custom-made keyboard. I don't know why the person who sold it. It's probably the fact that it has a large learning curve, and that's what I originally ran away from. I bought the thing and just never used it, because back then I didn't use a 10 keyless keyboard. I used like a giant Razer keyboard that had a numpad on it before expanding my desk and no longer needing a numpad because it's fucking stupid. And now that's a macro pad because Razer actually allows you to just reprogram every keyboard button, which is kind of nice. Editing Defenseless, pop a photo of my entire setup because it is, not to humble brag or anything, but it is quite literally like a flight deck now. It has been that way for a hot minute since starting Defenseless, but I take the Terran from Linus Tech Tips fame approach to video editing, which is that Wow, did I actually land one this time? Oh my god. Still did 300 damage, but you know, that's like, that is the first time I have avoided the first 2 hits of this attack. That's impressive. Come on, I know you can get it. Yeah, we got all 3. That was beautiful. I take the Terran from Linus Tech Tips editing methodology, which is that if you go into an airplane cockpit, there are buttons and switches everywhere for every task, and that's just the way I like it. I want everything to be a button press away, and I want it to be comfortable. So originally, this is back a year or 2 ago when I found this thing on Facebook Marketplace, I was like looking for a split spacebar keyboard, and I ended up buying this one because I was like, well, this is like the logical conclusion if I took it to the extreme would be get a split keyboard, because it is QWERTY, that is true, but instead of now 1 button per thumb instead of, you know, just spacebar, now it's 3 on my right thumb, 4 on my left, and it is fucking awesome. I'm not gonna lie, the typing speed is bad. I did a typing test at the beginning of this episode before I recorded, which was a 10-minute long typing test just so I can get typing. It's like 15 words a minute. Not good at all. I think I am going to do that for the future. I'm just going to include my little typing tests as we go on. Hopefully I can get my numbers up higher, and I know that it's possible with this keyboard. I think a big help for me this time going around was taking a Sharpie and just clearly marking out what each key does. Even though I know they'll bleed with like sweat and they're fine for right now, and I can always re-Sharpie them. Geratotis. Oh, interesting. Unfortunately, I need to go complete every fucking quest here. That is such a weird choice to put Geratotis in this fucking game. Oh look, there's a capture quest. Interesting. We can do Tetranadon. That's fine. I saw that. You little bitch. But yeah, I think I'm just gonna do a 10-minute typing test before each recording, just early in the morning with my coffee. Wake up, take a sippy. I'm gonna do that right now. Delicious. Now, the other interesting point of this is that originally I set up the split keyboard, right? I did. That is an accusation. It is true. But when I set it up, the coffee wants out. Perfect. When I set it up, I kept the 2 halves really close together, and my, this is a tour box. That's what that thing in the middle of my keyboard setup is. It's a tour box, which is actually probably one of the best macro pads you can get, especially for something like Premiere, because it does the mouse movements better than anything else I've seen. Like, it makes them incredibly nice. Maybe I'll talk about it a different day if anyone gives a shit about each one of the editing macro pads I own, because I have a lot of them. Because, once again, cockpit analogy. I like the fact that everything's got a button, and that when I come across a new feature in my working, like, editing process, I can just create a new button for it. I got 3 Switch decks, or Steam decks. Stream decks. God, I'm an idiot. Yeah, I got 3 Steam decks, each of them playing Monster Hunter, so I can have a full crew and get the maximum difficulty on hunts and solo them. Back to the point. That little fucker sitting right in the middle of the 2 keyboard halves is so nice because of the fact that that thing's sort of designed for both right and left hand uses. Some of the keys are better for either hand, and I've never used it like how I'm using it now. It's very comfortable. The entire setup is super comfortable, and more importantly, with the 2 halves of the keyboard spread apart, like I've mentioned it before, I'm a big dude and 6'3". My shoulders are unbelievably comfortable right now. They feels really weird. I didn't know that I was having a bit of shoulder pain, or I don't want to call it pain. It was more like just stress that I didn't understand, and having used the split keyboard for a couple of minutes last night, I just felt my shoulders like really nicely relax. I wasn't hunched over the keyboard. I was in a very nice position. Everything was in line. And I know that ultimately there are better split keyboards than the one I'm currently using. Like, I know the Moonlander is super fucking hype. It's going to pay dividends, I think, in the future. One of the more interesting things that I didn't know was that in a little bit of my research, I was looking at 10 keyless keyboards and stuff like that, and some of them don't have arrow keys. And I was like, damn, I really need arrow keys. But since you have a thumb button that can do layer shifts, I have it so on my right hand, if I hit the layer shift button, which editing defenseless, show the kind folks at home where that is. There it is. Isn't that cute? WASD have now switched into arrow keys, and that is so nice. It's real nice. Part of me is almost thinking it might be nicer to make it the alternative, which is ESDF. Once again, that's another weird thing. If you want to know, here's another hot take. ESDF is better than WASD. I think more games should defaultly support it. It puts your wrist in a better position, and more important than it putting it in a better position, you now have access in ESDF to have more buttons to your left that you can use for like menus and shit. I remember I tried playing Doom Eternal with ESDF, and it was a major headache. Oh, additionally, why ESDF is better is because your F key, which is what your index finger is, has a notch on it. So naturally, you'll be able to find your way back to your arrow keys a lot faster. I think ESDF it's just like the split keyboard thing. I feel like we just use it. We use WASD because it's so commonly used. I think on paper, it's very difficult to make the argument that it's better, you know? Like WASD, sure, I guess that's there, but you have a notch built into the F key just right off the bat. When you type, naturally your hand wants to go to the home row, and I think that's better too, even for people who are learning to type. If we had one standard where it's just like, oh, go back to F, like why in God's name did we choose WASD? It seems like it's just shifting one over, and that's gonna fuck people up when they go from typing to playing games. Welcome to the hot take typing episode. I'm gonna go over all the niches and opinions I have about typing keyboards. And will I swap out the Gateron milky yellow key switches that are in my Keybo in split keyboard? I don't know. They're nice. They're quiet. I think that's kind of nice for my family, and I don't want to be up super late and them hearing like click, which I'll say the creams aren't super loud, but their thok is pretty loud. They're not clicky, they're just thocky, if that makes sense. I guess I can explain that. For people who don't understand the sounds that come out of a keyboard switch, you have click and you have thok. Click is the clicking noise that a keyboard makes when a spring or something crosses a certain threshold and it makes it click. Thok is the sound that a keyboard makes when the key is fully compressed and it hits the bottom of its travel. And thok is what a lot of people actually like. They just don't know that that's what they like. And usually what happens is you buy your first keyboard, you're gonna buy probably a clicky because you think that's what you like, and then you'll realize pretty damn fast that you're like, maybe not. Granted, some people love clicky. I mean, they are incredibly popular. I like the Gateron yellow milkies. They're kind of nice. They're growing on me. They're a different sound than the creams that I've grown accustomed to over the past 2-3 years, but still, everything is just personal preference, and I think the keyboard community is pretty good about that type of stuff. Shout outs to Hippiothek. They'll see his shorts pop up every now and then, but he taught me a lot about the keyboard There's a bunch of really good channels. I feel like they're all very professional. I think where it gets bad though is with anything that you spend a lot of time with, people can get caught up in the weeds of like trying to have the best one, which is understandable. If you are on a computer for a while, like, yeah, investing in a good keyboard is a super worthwhile investment. It's how you interact with your keyboard, or it's how you interact with your computer. You know, you might as well enjoy it, which is why I'm like kind of hell-bent on, yeah, it's probably a good idea to suffer through the growing pains of moving to a split keyboard. But man, I already enjoy it. Now, I wasn't a super fast typer in general. I'd say I haven't practiced in a while, and fun fact about typing, if you're not doing typing tests, you're not going to improve past 30 words a minute. I think 30 words a minute is like a very good standard that a lot of people will hit naturally, and I think that's the national average. Editing Defenseless, can you fact check that? Can you tell me what the average is for people in the United States? Getting past that, I think you almost need to be regularly using a typing test, or at the very least you need to have a typing heavy routine. Like if your job is typing, maybe that works. I don't know. Yeah, typing it's a very fascinating niche and rabbit hole to go down. If you want to get into some weird shit, look up stenography. That is I believe it's stenography. That's like the people in courtrooms who can type incredibly quickly. It is a fucking weird art form. On one hand, there's like a college that's all over the world. I don't know if they're all over the world. I'm pretty sure they're all over the United States. But they're like the de facto people who you have to learn from, because I think they are the ones who either produce the keyboards that all of the like courtrooms use. So if you want to become a stenographer, you basically have to learn from them. And their like certification process is brutal. You have to hit like crazy high words a minute in order to get it. So there's this whole drama about it. And I watched a video because some dude made a stenography keyboard that's like made with mechanical keyboard parts, and he was showing off how it works. Like, it makes sense, trust me, like it does. These fuckers definitely know what the hell they're doing, because like if they didn't, it wouldn't fucking work. But it's just such a complicated thing. Maybe I'll get into it next episode, or maybe not, because next episode is our second episode of fan submitted builds. So if you have a build, if you have a weapon, if you have anything that you want me to use, please leave a comment on the video. I will get to working on building it probably tomorrow, which is the day this gets uploaded. So if you have a build, let me know. I'll put it together on Friday. I'll test it on Saturday and get comfortable with it. And then I'll record a video Sunday for Monday's episode, which will be me using it and somewhat teaching people the bare basics of that weapon. The weapons I'm going to exclude are probably Charge Blade, Hammer, and Switch Axe. So if you have any suggestions of any weapons you'd like to use, let me know. Let me know the builds, and I'll see you on Monday's episode. Thank you all for watching. Everybody call your mother. Please tell her you love her, and I'll see you on Monday. Bye.